First, James Brace will get you loaded up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our leading our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, slides, through the games after this win it ends. Press you again, we're here for the first May. Carry like you never 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city. Great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. The old field of dreams. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
In this league, there are no off days. I don't care who you're playing against. I mean, you have to bring your A game every single day. And we have to have that type of chip on our shoulder when we go in there. And we can't go in there and think we can start slow. All right, we got to start fast, we got to finish fast, and we got to keep putting more gas on. So
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none. Good Monday morning and welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It's Talkin VAWLS Morning Show. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. Grab your coffee, grab your energy drink, grab whatever it takes to get you going in the morning, and let's talk about it. How are we feeling on this Monday morning? How are we feeling? Obviously, everybody was full of piss and vinegar on Saturday night. Still pretty upset yesterday. Are you starting to turn the corner? How is your battered Vols syndrome? How's it doing on this Monday morning? Cain's running a little late. We're going to talk for a little bit. We're going to hang out. We're going to see how you guys are feeling. It's going to be your show for a couple of minutes until Cain gets home. He had to go get that pump in. He had to hit the gym. He had to get that lift in. I bet Cain's an all upper body guy. What do you guys think? I bet he's an all upper body guy, but he will be here. We'll be talking some Tennessee football. Let me see what you guys are up to. Let me see what you guys are talking about on this Monday morning in the chat. Noah's here, says GBO. At least we are making a bowl. We are not ready for that next step next year. 8. Everybody's ready for Nico. I'm interested to get Cain's thoughts. You know, the bottom line is we've talked all Nico. It's been all Nico on this channel for the last 2 days. Post-game show, fan call-in show, videos, put out 2 videos yesterday, one of those talking all about Nico. Everybody's ready for Nico, but we all know that they're trotting Joe out there. They're going to trot Joe out there against Georgia. He's going to be the one that takes the field. He's going to be the quarterback. This is his football team. It's going to continue to be that way. At what point does Josh Heupel say, we got to build for the future? What are we playing for in 2023? Does it matter if you go to the Outback Bowl or the whatever random flower of the week, the Motel 8 Bowl, whatever they call them? They change the names every week. The Gator Bowl, the Outback Bowl. Does it really make a difference where Tennessee ends up, or are we focused on getting some experience for these kids in 2024? Scott Bennett is here, says, good morning, Vol fam. Wish we were meeting under better conditions. But as always, we are Tennessee. O-line, D-line need to be winners in recruiting for next year. He also tells you to smash the dang like button. Papa J is here. Christmas come early. Beat Georgia. Do you guys feel that Tennessee can beat Georgia? I was kind of surprised when the line came out. Georgia only favored right now by, 10.5? Something along those lines. Jesse Gates is here. Never a good thing to start the week with a loss, but I'll take a Heupel loss over a Dooley loss. GBO. I hope you guys haven't lost confidence in Josh Heupel. I've not lost that confidence in Josh Heupel. I still think Josh Heupel is the guy. Some other fan bases want to roll in. They want to leave comments. They want to troll and talk about how Josh Heupel is not the guy. He's not the one. Let's see who else is in the chat. Isaac Owens is here. Good morning, Isaac. Culberson is in the house. Ball fan in the Air Force is here. What's up, brother? Clay is here. Trey, the ambassador. Maybe I should call him by his name. Is here. What's up? Come on in. Smash the thumbs up. John P. is here. Angry Titan is here. Noah James, I think I already talked about Noah. Dylan Elam is here. Ed is for UT is here. Come on in, guys. Smash the thumbs up. And let's get into it. Let's talk about it. We got a couple of super chats. I'm going to hit them. I'm sorry, Donovan. Eric is not here yet. I'll pretend to be Eric. I'll pretend to be Cainer for this $10 super chat. Says, how would you defend Brock Bowers? Can you defend Brock Bowers? Are your linebackers going to get it done? Is it going to be somebody in that star position that's going to get it done? Tamarian McDonald, how banged up is he? Is he going to be able to go? Because I think that's the answer, is going to be your star position. We saw a whole lot of Jordan Thomas. It's interesting to me that we go back to last year, 2 years ago. Theo Jackson goes down. Brandon Turnage comes in for a week, dominates at that star position. SEC Defender of the Week. I know it's 1 week, it's one game. Brandon Turnage played really good football at that star position, and then we never really see him again. They trot Jordan Thomas out there. He struggled. The linebackers struggled. Are you going to put Elijah Herring on him? You think Elijah Herring can stay with Brock Bowers? He's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem on Saturday. Says it's third down, the defense, the biggest key in the game. I mean, it was the biggest key in the Missouri game. This football team, look, you can talk about the offense. You can blame the offense for only scoring 7 points. That's a freaking problem. That's obviously a problem. 7 points ain't going to cut it. I don't care who you're playing. What do you expect to win? 7-6? You think you're going to hold teams to 6 points? You got to get off the field on third down. People wanted to talk about that first quarter and Tennessee only running 3 plays. Well, that's because your defense couldn't get off the field. I mean, Missouri only had 2 drives to start that game. They only had 2 drives, but they were extended drives. They ate up so much clock. Doesn't help when your offense goes out and goes 3 and out, but you got to get off the field on third down. Who throws more TDs, Beck or Milton? I'm going Beck 100%. Does Jalen Wright reach 100 yards this week? 34-27, go Vols. I love your confidence. I love your confidence, Donovan. And maybe you're starting to drag me out of the gutter a little bit, Donovan. In the Facebook group, talking about beating Georgia. You're getting me to snap and clear, in the words of Butch Jones. Let's play 1 week at a time. This football team can play with anybody in the country when they show up. Will they show up on Saturday at Neyland Stadium? The winning streak is on the line. Will Neyland be electric? How big is the atmosphere in Neyland Stadium going to be coming off of the blowout loss to Missouri? If you had just lost a tight game, I get it. Does Jalen Wright reach 100 or 1,000 yards? Let me tell you this. He's 152 away from 1,000. Does he hit 100 this Saturday? I think if Jalen Wright rushes for 100 yards, Tennessee beats Georgia. How about that? Donovan for another 5 says, I think Nico will get drafted first in the 2026 draft. Patrick Mahomes better enjoy it now because Nico is taking over as the best quarterback in the NFL. That is a bold prediction. I think Nico's going to go early in the draft. I think he's going to play 3 and done. I think he's going to be the starter at Tennessee for 2 years. Are we going to look back and say we wasted one of Nico's years sitting behind Joe Milton? I feel like this season has been buying time. This season has just been waiting. Let's just wait. Let's just cruise through this season. Let's get it over with because 2024 is what it's all about. It feels like the 2023 season has just been a waste, waiting for Nico. Now, does he deliver? Does he show up? Is he the guy we think he is? I think so. You want to hear what I think about Nico Iamaleava? Go watch the video I dropped yesterday. Tell you everything you need to know about why I think Nico's going to be the guy. Ron the Don for $10. Appreciate the super chat. You guys are rolling the show right now. Waiting on Cainer to show up. You guys are giving me the topics. I love it. I appreciate it, and thank you for the support. You guys keeping the light bill paid around here. I appreciate it. Ron the Don for 10 says, Boogie, I'm hurt, struggling, licking my wounds, but it's Georgia week. It's time to rally up the pride and circle the wagons, pull off a miracle upset. Ron the Don, you know what I think about Georgia? You know what I think about Georgia, Ron the Don? I think we do have to rally the troops. I think it's time to get fired up. I think it's time for this. I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none. Can Tennessee shock the world? The question for me is, can Tennessee man, epic fail here. Hold on a second. Epic fail. Cainer just texted me and said, bro, you never sent me the link. So I'm waiting for Cainer to show up. Cainer don't have a link. So I should probably send him a link, and then he could join the show and we could talk about it. How fired up is Neyland Stadium? How fired up is Neyland Stadium on Saturday? I think that is going to be a big question going into this one. Vol fan in the Air Force. Door feed. Does anyone know why we didn't have a pep band and cheerleaders at the game? Was it the university being cheap? I don't know. Everything that I've seen is that the university just didn't want to do it. So is it money? Is it financial reasons why? I have not heard a reason, but I've heard a lot of complaints about that. Multiple people said that in the post-game show. Dylan Elam for 5 on the bright side. Nothing is more dangerous than a team with nothing to lose. I don't think we beat Georgia, but we give them everything we got left. I hope so, man. That's what would encourage me is how does this team respond? How do they bounce back? Adam Cook for 5. We need to find clips of Georgia fans gloating and play them on our social media over and over again so everyone can see what's at stake. Sieber for 2. Defense staff needs fire. Fire everybody, Sieber says. Fire them all. Tim Beck. What about Rodney Garner? Rodney Garner's on that defensive staff, too. I don't think we should fire Rodney Garner. Right top time for 5 says, Dorothy, I'm starting to seriously question coach's play calling ability. We're really missing Golish. Shows last year's team for how special it was. Thank you, Tom, for the super chat. Thank you all for the super chat, for getting me through waiting on Cainer. Probably helped when I sent him the link. We're going to talk about play calling. I'm going to ask Cainer what his thoughts are offensively and defensively, but let's get into it now that he finally has the link. We can start the morning show.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Do you ever like right before you go live or you start to record, you start to do whatever, it's like, I got to do this, this, and this. And it's like, I always have to unlock the front door because my wife goes to the gym and comes home. She conveniently comes home. No, she could be at the grocery store, the gym. She conveniently comes home every time I'm going live. That's when she comes home, so the dogs lose their mind. So I had to unlock the front door so the garage doors don't send them off a cliff. So I checked that off and also said, make sure you send Cainer the link.
Didn't happen.
Am I back?
You're back. I can hear you.
I was. So am I just blacked out? Am I dark mode?
No. Okay, I see. We're back. We're rolling.
What is happening? Our pets' heads are falling off. This is the worst start ever.
Listen. It's comical. I got 2 things. Number one. Tennessee forgot to get off the bus at Missouri. Boogie forgot to send the link, so that's obvious. Number 2, listen, I texted Boogie. I said, hey, it's going to be 9:05, man. I'm running late. Traffic's backed up, 9:05. And lo and behold, he's like, yeah, man, no problem, man. I'll just tap dance. It's all good. Dude never sends the link. It's 9:13. Gotta love it.
And now I think my computer is just dying. I don't know what is happening. If I get kicked off, just turn it into Locked On Vols. You got an hour to do whatever you want, okay? You're in charge. Let's see if we can actually have a show now. I don't know.
There's nothing to talk about though, so sorry. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, let's just end the show. I mean, you can sit in my chair for a little while. Although I don't want to sit in your chair. I was getting cussed out and called names yesterday, and I said, you know what? The VolQuest guys have it way worse. You guys take it from both sides, YouTube and the General's quarters.
Nobody asks the tough questions, man. That's all I gotta say.
All right, let's hopefully. What has happened? You know, when you spend a lot of money on a gaming PC and then all of a sudden Spectrum Internet just decides, hey, we're gonna throttle you back. They conveniently had an outage and then the speed went to trash.
It was about 10 seconds of nothing happening, but we're back. I mean, you don't look good, but your stream looks good, and I can hear you, so we're rolling.
I got a Rocky Balboa shirt on. Can you see it? All right. Let's circle the wagons. I feel like Tennessee. We got to bounce back here. We got to see if we can put on a show. Talk some Tennessee football. Let's talk about the painful things first. Horrible loss. You know, we talked about going into the Missouri game. You're 2 quarters of football away from being undefeated. That's not the case coming out of Missouri. They showed up. They got their tail whipped. It wasn't even a football game start to finish. Some people want to blame the quarterback, which is comical. Shout out Coach Jay. Some people want to blame the defense. The bottom line is everybody not named Jackson Ross played like trash on Saturday. This is a brutal loss, and I've seen a lot of people in our chat and our comment comparing it to South Carolina. Similar but different. What are your thoughts on Missouri beating Tennessee?
Yeah, a couple different things, and I'm sure we can dive into more of the quarterback here in a moment. But it's that's people who are just like, well, the season's lost, play Nico. Like, I understand that. Like, I get. I'm not saying they're wrong. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Like, I get that mindset. I truly understand because Atlanta's off the table right now. But yeah, Joe Milton, he was not perfect, but my God, he was like the 17th, 18th worst thing that was going on Saturday. It was awful, man. I mean, Tennessee literally didn't show up, and it's really unfortunate. I think Missouri's a good ball club. Is Missouri 36-7 better than Tennessee? No. I mean, Tennessee couldn't do anything. You go into this game leading the SEC in rushing, leading the SEC in defending the run, and you get waxed in both of those areas. And when Tennessee goes one-dimensional, your offense isn't as efficient. You can't get any type of sustainability, and it's just not good, man. I mean, Missouri just dominated the line of scrimmage. Tennessee's offensive line could not get anything. Tennessee's defensive line was on skates. Tennessee's linebackers are over-pursuing. It was horrible. I mean, everything about it was horrible. The only thing that was good about it, 2 things: Jackson Ross's performance, he's phenomenal, and the second thing is Dante Thornton. What an adjustment to go make that touchdown catch, and Joe Milton gave him a chance. That's all you can ask for. What an adjustment to go make that catch, and then lo and behold, you get hurt on that play. It's just kind of how that game went for Tennessee. As far as which loss was worse, both horrific, both in November. You know, we talk about the trends on Locked On Vols. This is a trend now, an inexplicable loss in November. But here's the thing about Missouri, and Boogie, tell me if I'm wrong here. The loss isn't what's horrific about this. I mean, Missouri's a good ball club. Tennessee was a 1.5-point favorite on the road. I mean, that was going to be a tight game either way. It's the way you lost. Nothing goes well. The way you lost Alabama, being outscored 27-0 in the second half. The way you lost at Florida, being outscored 21-0 in the second quarter, whatever it was. The way you're losing these games are kind of inexplicable. The loss in itself is bad, sure, but you know the way you're losing these games. The loss to South Carolina last year knocked you out of the playoffs, so 10 times that was a worse loss. But this one is really, really bad. I mean, it was not a good quick trip to Como for me. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, you know, Tennessee playing at 3:30, Georgia Ole Miss playing the night game. You had everything to play for. As a Tennessee coaching staff, players, they had everything to play for. Yes, it wasn't like last year where, hey, you were in complete control of your destiny. You just got to go out and play football. Yeah. But I agree with you, and I understand how the internet works, and I know people are trolls and they come in and say what they say, but somebody made a comment about our post-game show and said, man, Vol fans are delusional. Y'all are acting like you were going to blow out Missouri. That was never the case. This was a toss-up game. Exactly. It was a toss-up game, and Tennessee got embarrassed. I mean, this was a horrible loss. Offensively terrible, defensively terrible. You made a point, though, there, talking about when Tennessee gets one-dimensional, they struggle. This football team, Josh Heupel's identity is running the football. That sets up everything. So there's 2 different trains of thought out there, and I'll throw out names. I don't care. There's Jonathan Crompton that basically said, well, if Tennessee can't run the football, this scheme doesn't work. It just does not work if you can't get going on the ground. And then there's the other side of that, Coach Jay, just right on time drop. You know why he drops? This guy basically works for me for free, and he still drops $8 super chats. Do you know why he drops $8 super chats? You could probably figure it out. He says this offense has taken a step back because of Joe. Full stop. 0 300-yard games, and a drop in every passing stat you can name. So that's right on cue. So Jonathan Crompton's train of thought. He's a Joe defender, has been all season. And he says, if you can't run the football, it's the scheme that doesn't work. The opposite argument to that is, if you can't run the football, Joe's not good enough. Is it the quarterback position?
I would side with the latter. And that's not to say, I mean, I've not been calling for Joe's head all season long. I've not been saying play Nico. I mean, I don't know if I'd be considered a Joe defender, but I would think that I think I've said it a couple times this year. The biggest difference between Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton, and again, there's not many Hendon Hookers out there. When things aren't going well, Hendon Hooker can make some plays. It can mess around and get Tennessee in the end zone or get Tennessee back into a competitive football game or whatever. Joe hasn't done that. Joe has not shown the ability that he can do that in these types of games. I think that's the biggest difference. As far as when you're not running the football, the scheme doesn't work. It hasn't this year. But go back to Alabama 2021. That was a fourth quarter football game, and Tennessee could not. I think Tennessee finished with 40 yards rushing. I mean, it was bad. Like this game finishing with 83 yards rushing was bad, but I think Alabama 2021, Tennessee finished with even worse rushing yards, and Tennessee was in that football game in the fourth quarter. So I wouldn't say it's the scheme, in my opinion. I would say it's more the latter. And again, there's not many Hendon Hookers out there. I mean, we talk about elite quarterbacks for a reason. There's not many of them. I would say it's more of just the playmaking ability at that position. It's not what it was the past 2 years.
I'm assuming I just keep disappearing, freezing, coming back. I catch half of what you say. This is ridiculous. I got to make a phone call, but hey, we're going to try to get through this show. Let's see. I hit the super chat from Coach Jay, so we're caught up on super chats. We're going to continue to talk about Nico. I was going to wait till later in the show, but let's talk about it while we're on the topic of quarterbacks. A lot of people, again, I know it's probably the vocal minority that are out there talking about, the season's over, it's all doom and gloom, what's there left to play for? But to me, if you look at the schedule, you got Georgia coming to Neyland, and you got Vanderbilt to end the season. Does it really matter if you start Joe or Nico? Like, I think you lose to Georgia, and I think you beat Vanderbilt, and I think we finish 8-4, and we go get ready for a bowl. And I know I was listening to you guys on the Rocky Top Rewind. You kind of talked about this a little bit. At what point do you flush 2023 because you're going to lose to Georgia more than likely and beat Vanderbilt and start getting some of these young guys some play and ready for 2024?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, like I said something earlier. The people saying, this season's gone, play for the future, play Nico, nothing to lose. Like I recognize that. You're exactly right, because for the first time truly all season long, the East it's off the table. So what would be the biggest downfall of putting in Nico to play quarterback and get him extended reps? I don't think there is one, but I will say I just knowing how the staff works, I that's not going to happen. Joe Milton's going to be your starting quarterback, especially against the number 1 ranked team in the country coming to your house. That's a less than ideal situation to start your 5-star, in my opinion. So Joe Milton's going to be back out there under center. And then I would venture to say that Joe Milton's going to be your starting quarterback against Vanderbilt. What I would do if I was head coach against Vanderbilt specifically, I would go in and say, all right, 3rd series, no matter what, Nico, that's your series. 6th series, no matter what, Nico, that's your series. 8th series, no matter what, Nico, that's your series. I would have scripted series to get Nico some live action reps in that Vanderbilt game. And then you go to that conversation of, well, what's Joe going to do for the bowl game? We'll get into the NFL draft talk and, opt-outs and all that type of stuff. And Joe will be in that conversation because he's a quarterback and he's got every tool imaginable that NFL scouts just drool over. So we'll see what happens. Will he play in that bowl game? Will he not? Maybe that's Nico's time again. We'll see. But it's not going to happen, in my humble opinion, that you're going to see a quarterback change this week with Georgia. Even though the East is off the table, you're going to go in there, hope that Tennessee can respond and play back to its level of football and see what type of football game it's going to be. If Tennessee plays well, it can be a really good football game. Tennessee plays like it played Saturday, you're going to lose by 50.
Timothy McGee drops a $5 super chat, says, "You're wrong, Boogie. You're wrong. Crompton has been critical on everyone. Crompton defends coaching and he defends quarterback play. every time I don't know what Crompton says all the time. I've listened to him a couple of times this year. Both times I have, he has basically said that it's not Joe. It's the receivers, it's the scheme, it's everything but quarterback play. Imagine an old quarterback defending the quarterback position. But I digress. Let's move ahead. Let's go back to defense. This defense got whipped. They got whipped on Saturday. And again, you got to play complementary football, right? Your offense didn't do you any favors. We're going to start with defense. We'll move over to offense as far as play calling. But everybody likes to talk about adjustments, right? That's the buzzword. When you get whipped, well, you never made any adjustments. That's always what it is. But to me, just as a fan watching the game, Missouri didn't seem to change much on offense. They kind of did what they did, and they had success with it. And, we are on here all week long, whether it be media, fans, everybody is saying, you got to stop Cody Schrader, and you got to spy Brady Cook. Like, we've seen him make too many plays. What did Georgia do? So they spied Brady Cook, and they had success with that. Defensive line was bad. Linebackers were bad. You guys, something you talked about, and I liked hearing it, was the linebackers over-pursuing. So when they're running that, because I think when they ran the outside zone and they tried to get outside, Tennessee stopped it. But they kept over-pursuing, and it let cutback lanes, creases, you talked about it last night, and that's why they had so much success. But linebackers were bad. What do you think Tim Banks could have done to make adjustments to stop Missouri? Or do you just think it was, hey, players weren't making plays?
Tennessee was so obsessed with not letting Brady Cook throw it over their heads. He was really, really, really good with the underneath stuff. Again, this is flashbacks to Florida, but even in the Florida game, they were late adjusting to it. But in the second half, you made some things, and you tried to take away that underneath stuff. It never happened in this football game, which is really surprising. I mean, again, Brady Cook is a good quarterback this year. We knew that going into the game, but, I mean, he's not Joe Montana going to throw it over your head all the time, right? That's not where he flourishes. Tennessee was just giving that underneath stuff all day long, backing up the safeties. I don't quite get that. And, as far as his running, I mean, Tennessee, it didn't look like on tape when I went back and watched it. It didn't look like Tennessee was spying him whatsoever. And how in the world you don't have a type of plan, whether it's your ends or a linebacker or a safety or your star player, you got to mix it up. I recognize that. But, I mean, the dude ran for 4 first downs on third down, I believe. One time you're bottled up, and it looked like he was, Brent said, it looked like he was going to run the entire time, backed up in his own end zone. He gains 22 yards in a first down. I mean, that's just inexcusable. Man, really just a horrific day defensively where you had no answer. As far as the linebackers over pursuing, like, you get that outside zone. I mean, a zone concept read is the easiest thing to see when you're a backer. You're reading the triangle, guards to the running back. You see action going left or right. You see it's more of a horizontal step than getting upfield. And you want to get on your horse and go and make that play, but you got to go inside out. You go inside out, meaning if they had that cutback, you're going to be right there making the play. You got to keep your gap and not be, bounce outside to try to make a play. You leave your gap, it has a crease over there. And you saw that all game long. Elijah Herring, Caleb Beasley, Jordan Thomas at the star position going in for Tamarian McDonald. Man, those guys were over pursuing from the backside, and Cody Schrader's still running right now. There wasn't one thing defensively that you can point to and say, okay, well, that was a good thing. I mean, Tennessee played a horrible game, and I sound like such a Debbie Downer, but it is what it is in a 36-7 defeat.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Jump on here and pump sunshine and rainbows? Yeah. It's Timothy McGee for another 5 says Crompton isn't wrong. We don't have the studs for wide receiver option routes. Should have went old school throwing to a point. My thing is, look, I talked about it on the post-game show. I think I even mentioned it last night on the fan call-in show. I told Cainer in a text message early in the year, this is my game plan. When Joe lays an egg, I'm going full steam ahead on Nico. I've not done it yet. And I made a video on Nico yesterday saying that it's time for Nico, and that has nothing to do with Joe. I'm not calling to bench Joe. I don't think Joe's the reason Tennessee lost to Missouri. I don't think Joe has cost this football team any game. I think the reason you have lost is because you've not been able to run the football. So you can throw that counter argument again, right? You can't run the football. Well, Joe's not going to go win you the game. But I am not in favor of benching Joe. I have not been in favor of benching Joe all year long. I'm ready to prepare for 2024 because this season got flushed down the toilet on Saturday against Missouri. Papa J for another 5. Appreciate that. Papa J says, let's see how much extra practice Elijah gets this week. Please let Christmas come early this year. Beat Georgia. Hate Georgia. Man, Papa J may be the biggest Georgia hater not named Boogie Bentley. So I'll play this. I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none. That never gets old, ever. Never.
Did I have Harry Potter books in my background? Listen, I'm a big Harry Potter guy, but I'm a real big nerd, man. That was last year.
I love so many things about it because I'm so aggressive. It was your first live stream. You're like, what is happening? And I've got that stupid that hat. Although that hat from 1998 is probably back in style now. Like, I'm clueless with what the kids wear these days. Oh, man. Anyway, Donovan for another 5 says, what's up, Eric? Georgia has played one true road game against Auburn because Vandy don't count. Carson Beck will struggle to hear. Hashtag pride, hashtag confidence. Man, Donovan's rolling into this week. He started on Saturday, immediately after the Missouri game. He's in our Facebook group saying that Tennessee's going to go beat Georgia. I'm sure he's been called a lot of names since then, but he's got that confidence rolling into this game. Guys, we got about 250 people watching live. Appreciate you guys hanging out on this Monday morning. Make sure you smash the thumbs up. Share out the link. Hit share. Put it on Twitter, Facebook. Let somebody know we're live. Also, make sure you guys go sub up what Caner's up to over at Locked On Vols. Most of you are probably checking that out right now. We do the crossover. I jump over there every Friday, so make sure you check that out. See what he's doing. What are you on the grind to 10,000? Is that where you're?
Yeah, man. It's been man. Last football season we just jumping, jumping, and I recognize that it's been a little bit of a slow climb here the last couple of weeks, but we are on our way to 10,000. And for all you guys listening and watching right now, if you're not subscribed, really would appreciate it over there at Locked On Vols. Trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the season. So I thank you so much.
Matt Marr says Caner hasn't went live.
We know why I don't go live because I can't benefit off the super chat. So it's like, why should I?
Yeah, analytics of YouTube. If you're going live and not making money, you're hurting your channel. So don't go live until you. Let me get on the phone with the bosses over at Locked On Vols. Tell them what YouTube's all about. Let's change gears to offense. Play calling. Everybody wants to talk about play calling. First of all, nobody knows who's calling plays. Is it Joey Halsley? Is it Josh Heupel? I'm in the world of thinking it's probably Heupel. I just truly believe that. And then it's, one thing you can see is they're just not as aggressive as they used to be. And the perfect example for me is in that Missouri game. They're driving it right down the field. You get the big interception from Jalen McCullough. He has a great return, great football play, great return, sets you up, great field position around midfield. 100 times out of 100 last year, Josh Heupel's throwing the deep ball. First down, he's taking a deep shot. He's going for your throat. They run it twice. They throw a little swing pass, 3-and-out punt. Any chance you had to create momentum early is out the door. What do you think about play calling? Is it a lack of trust in Joe? Is it Heupel? Is it Halsley? Are you missing Alex Golesh? There's so many different narratives out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you miss Alex Golesh a little bit. He's a guy that worked with Heupel for 3 years, and I think, from year to year to year, Heupel would give more and more and more to Alex Golesh. I mean, this is Heupel's system, man. He is super protective over it. That's why you promote from within every single offseason when somebody leaves. And even though Joey Halsley's been with Heupel for 15 years, played for Heupel as his quarterback coach at Oklahoma, I mean, he's still learning to be a true offensive coordinator. And being an offensive coordinator, a lot of people, I feel like, just think that's just calling plays. It's so much more than that. You're developing the game plan. You're setting the game plan. You're doing all that work Sunday through Friday, and then you're going to play on Saturday. And so I'm with you. I think, and I don't know this for sure, okay, but I think the majority of the play calls are coming from Heupel. That's just my opinion. I think a lot of the first first couple of plays of the series are scripted. And that's why you see a lot of success early on, and that's football. I mean, remember, you remember the Georgia game, back in 2018-19, whenever Brian Maurer threw that touchdown pass on the first possession. That was a scripted play. Scripted plays benefit the offense a lot of the time. But as the drive goes along, I would say it's probably a heavy influence on Josh Heupel, in my opinion. I think now Tennessee was horrific on first down Saturday. I think that drive by Missouri that took up the entire first quarter really got Josh Heupel thrown off. I think he was getting antsy. I think he was kind of sitting there twiddling his thumbs, wanting to get after it. Tennessee, albeit did not run the football well, Tennessee barely ran the football. A season low in attempts. Like, I get it, but you got to stay committed to the run. You've got to stay committed to the run. I feel like the staff, last year, they just continued to throw. Pittsburgh game, threw it to Cedric Tillman 20 times. Why? Because they didn't trust anybody else. Jalen Hyatt was not Jalen Hyatt at that point in time. They didn't know who Brew McCoy was. They kept throwing it to Cedric Tillman because that's what they know. And I feel like so many times you get so caught up and get so antsy that you abandon parts of your game. And I think Tennessee abandoned the run game way too early in this football game, in my opinion. So I think a lot of it's contributing factors. This is not necessarily play calling, but the fact that Tennessee tried to kick that field goal at the end of the game, that's such Bush League. That is, and the fact that Eli Drinkwitz called a timeout, the whole thing. Coaches are so petty. It was all Bush League. I made fun of Jim Mora Jr. in the first quarter on their first drive for kicking the field goal at the 4-yard line last week, because I was like, you're going to lose by 7 touchdowns, just go for it. If I'm going to make fun of Jim Mora Jr. for doing that, I'm going to make fun of Tennessee for kicking the field goal late. Like, you got your tail kicked. What's the difference in losing 36-7 or 36-10? That was such Bush League there at the end of the game. So, anyway, I know that wasn't play calling. I just kind of went off on a rant there. I think that they abandoned the run too early, and I think you saw that Saturday.
You think some of that, though, is – and Heupel, I was listening to the Heupel show, and he always says we got off script, right? And when you talk about scripted plays, and this is something this football team has done, is put themselves in horrendous situations with holding calls, right? You had a couple of holding calls. You're looking at 1st and 20. You come out the start of the third quarter. You run that speed option to the short side of the field for whatever reason. And I know some people are blaming Joe. I'm not putting that on Joe. Catch the freaking football, right? And right, God bless his heart, man. He has been such a warrior for this football team. He was awful Saturday. And you hate to see that, and you hate to call it out, but it is what it is. He had the fumble, then he dropped that pitch. So you had a couple of 1st and 20s. You had a 2nd and 16. And when you're looking at that, it's hard to run the football. It's hard to stay committed. I mean, you're talking about 3 drives right there when Tennessee ran 3 plays in the entire first quarter.
Yeah, it's tough. When you don't win first down, it's hard to run the football. You're exactly right. You're it's 2nd and 9, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 14. It's tough to run the football. I did not get that sequence there. I mean, the whole middle 8 was just so atrocious. You brought up the right fumble, and God bless him. Yeah, he's been so good this year. Fumbles the football away, and I wrote about this. It just felt like when that happened, I'm sitting up there in that press box. I'm like, okay, I don't know if Tennessee will lose this game, but that's going to hurt no matter what. That right there is going to hurt. And like the fumble hurt, but the response was way worse, in my opinion. Fumbles happen. That's football. There's 20 seconds on the clock, and your defense allows points on the board. It's a light box. Tim Banks expecting packs. I get all that. Horrific angles by the linebackers. Horrific angles by the safety. 35 yards quickly from Cody Schrader. Pass play at 10 yards. Run play at 9 yards. And they just gift wrap 3 points for Missouri. I mean, just atrocious. Then you come out after the break, and you have that weird play call, in my opinion, to the short side of the field. And it looked like Wright wasn't even ready for the football. You fumble. It gets it behind the sticks. I mean, that whole sequence, man, it just doomed Tennessee. It was really bad. And Tennessee, for the most part this year, has been a good middle 8 football team. Was not on Saturday. And just another reason why Tennessee got its brains beat in. I mean, the Vols had a chance to go up at halftime and instead was down by 6.
Yeah, man, I know you understand this, especially being a media guy, because you're not just getting on and talking, you're also writing stories. Yeah. But I'm taking notes during the game, and man, I'm formulating this whole narrative, this whole storyline to talk about in the post-game show of how Tennessee is going to win the middle 8. You're down 10-7. 10-7 at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, you were driving the football. If you can just get something, even if you just get a field goal there, that's a win. And then you get the football back, and you go kind of change momentum after a very strange start to the game after the way that first quarter played out, and they just laid an egg in the middle 8, and that was the story. Timothy McGee for 5 says Vanderbilt scored 20 on Missouri. If they do that to us, we are in trouble. How much do you –
Tennessee's going to be Vanderbilt by however much Tennessee wants to be Vanderbilt by. I get it. After seeing what happened Saturday, you don't have faith in Tennessee at all. I get it.
Right. But how much thought do you put into that one game, right? And that's why Donovan is fired up and ready for Georgia. I don't think anybody else in this fan base is, because everything is, what have you done for me lately? All they remember is the Missouri game.
It was bad. I mean, it was really, really bad. I mean, the Georgia game, that's why you gotta watch the tape if you're a player. You gotta learn from it. But I mean, you gotta move on. You gotta move on in a hurry. Georgia's not feeling sorry for you. But still, if you go back to playing your best football, if you go back to running the football the way you can, if you go back to defending the run, and not everything's gonna click every single game, I get that. You go back to throwing the football and operating the pass game the way it's kind of come along this season. You go back to getting after the passer. I mean, heck yeah, you'll play with Georgia. You will play with Georgia. Again, not all those things will be clicking in the single football game. But if 2 or 3 of those things are clicking, you can give Georgia a run for their money. I mean, it's not just a foregone conclusion you're going to lose by 50 here because the way you looked against the way you looked against Missouri. You can play with Georgia, and you got to go out there, and I think playing at home with those fans and all that type of stuff is going to play into it. Georgia's a rival. You want to beat Georgia. But regardless of what happens Saturday, I mean, when Vanderbilt comes to town on Senior Day, last game of the regular season, like you said it earlier, Nico could start and play 80 snaps at quarterback. Tennessee's going to win by multiple touchdowns. Joe could start, play 80 snaps at quarterback. Tennessee's going to win by multiple touchdowns. Tennessee will finish off the season on a high note against Vanderbilt for sure. Because Vanderbilt's just not a good football team. Like, I get comparing scores and all that. Remember last year, the worry was, oh my gosh, man, you lose to Vanderbilt. You talk about a complete lapse in November. Tennessee goes out and wins 56-0.
Yep. That's what I expect again. Timothy McGee for 5 says he needs to be careful. Start calling Wright fumble Foster. I wonder how much it did kind of get in Jalen Wright's head, that fumble, because he was not the same after that.
He hasn't fumbled. Correct me if I'm wrong here. He hasn't fumbled since Georgia last year, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's fumbled all year until last night or Saturday afternoon. Shot by Andrew for 2 says some for Boog. Drops another 2 says some for Cainer. Cainer, your check's in the mail. Donovan for 2. Says, can't wait, no more Gary D after Saturday ever. Gosh, was I was so angry. Actually, Dustin, a guy that does our post-game shows with us occasionally, got so pissed off that he threw his hat at the TV, hit it in just the right spot, that it knocked it off his TV stand. He had to go to Best Buy after the post-game show to buy a new TV. That's what we as Tennessee fans deal with. Coach McGee for 10 says, let's go kick the crap out of Georgia now. Forget this, feel sorry for ourselves. Crap. Look, how do you think Tennessee responds here? Nothing to play for, no New Year's Six Bowl, no trip to Atlanta, but you better have some pride within yourself to go finish this thing off. How do they bounce back, and how does this fan base bounce back? Because I know you see it the same way as I do. You lose like you lost to Missouri, numbers go down, as many people aren't as engaged, and there's a lot of negativity floating around the fan base. Do you think that shows up in Neyland, or you think it's going to be full electric and ready to play spoiler?
As far as like what that environment's going to be like in Neyland, it's going to be incredible. I don't care. You won last week, you lost last week. You invest your time, you invest your money, and a lot of people are still to go and see Georgia, Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. It's going to be an incredible environment. So I still expect it's already sold out. Obviously, I still expect there not to be hardly any empty seats in that stadium. I think the environment from the fan base inside of that stadium is going to be really, really good. Donovan said this on the Rocky Top Rewind last night, man. I couldn't agree more. You said, word of the week is pride. And a lot of times you throw that around there like, team, got to finish things off the right way. Don't give up, all that type of stuff. And you're looking at like a 5-6 win season or whatever, 7-win season. I mean, Tennessee, a chance to, if all goes well, could finish with 9 wins, but probably going to finish with 8 wins. But, pride in terms of those players, how are you going to respond? First and foremost, you're a competitor. You want to go out there and you want to do your best, obviously, so that's your pride. You have pride in your uniform, pride in your teammates and all that. Number 2, at the simplest thing, you're still putting your tape online. Like, you are still putting your resume online to go and try to be in the NFL. So, like, the whole narrative last year, and I know we talked about it a little bit last year, but the whole narrative of, well, Tennessee's defense intentionally sucked because they wanted to make a statement. You mean to tell me guys went out there and played football badly, showing all the NFL scouts, the NFL personnel, that they are not good at football on purpose? Try again. You're going to go out there and you're going to do your best because you want to go and play, football in the NFL. And so I think at the simplicity of it all, like, you're going out there and still knowing that you have a lot to play for. And that might be selfish reasons, but that's a reason for a lot of them outside of, just trying to get this thing off and end it on the right note. So if there's a week to see that leadership, it's this week for sure. I think Tennessee has good leadership. We'll find out by the way they come out and they play against Georgia, but those seniors, those upperclassmen in the locker room, man, they got to start turning the page here on a Monday and start looking to Georgia, because what happened. You got to flush it. You got to move on. You still got 2 ball games left, and you still got 2 ball games left where you can do some good things.
I got to address this comment because when I get called out, I got to respond to it.
Yeah.
Says I brushed off the threat of Missouri. Did I brush off the threat of Missouri? I did like the matchup. Look, I liked the matchup for Tennessee to go win that football game.
Dude.
But if you go back and listen to Wednesday, my prediction was for Tennessee to win by a field goal. There's a difference between winning by a field goal and losing 36-7. So
there was a thread on the board yesterday, and like it was like, I don't know if it was a victory lap or whatever, but it's like in all capital letters, mods, downplay threat of Missouri. It's like, okay, even if we did, Are you a Tennessee fan? Why are you taking a victory lap? Number two, like, I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but I can say we all picked Tennessee to win, but it was nobody picked Tennessee in a blowout. Now, back in June and July, I brushed it off. I'll be the first one to say, I was like, Tennessee, Missouri, Tennessee beats Missouri. It's like Tennessee, Kentucky. It's a win. I brushed it off. As the season went along, I'm like, oh, well, that schedule's not that good, but they got some players. Brady Cook's good. Schrader's good. Luther Burden's NFL guy. Oh, wow, that offensive line's holding up. Oh, you beat the crap out of Kentucky. Oh, wow, you really did well against Georgia. Yeah, that's a pretty good football team. I mean, it's like, I mean, certainly the game week, you respect your opponent. I mean, I don't get that. It's weird. I mean, Missouri is a good team. Are they the 85 Bears? No, but they're a good team, and I think that everybody I've talked to like Tennessee to win, but maybe by a touchdown, maybe by a field goal. That's a close football game. I don't know. Losses bring out narratives in everybody, so I get that.
You laid out my exact thought process. I was the same way. Missouri was not even a toss-up in my preseason predictions.
Yeah.
I had it as a win. I just did. But as the season played out, even prior to the Georgia game, I'm with you. I'm looking at their schedule. I'm like, okay, and I'm laying out all these things, and it's like I thought the difference would be they had one guy that was going to run the football. We had three. Well, guess what? He was better than all three of our running backs on Saturday. What are you going to do? It is what it is. If you talk about victory laps, man, seeing people in our live chat, they hang out and talk during the game, which is awesome. It's almost like people celebrate Joe throwing the pick six just to say, "Told you, I told you, Joe sucked." It's like. Why are you celebrating Joe throwing a pick six?
In my opinion, too, with that pick six, now he got close a couple of times. I mean, they baited that. Like it was he got close to throwing that route, and they got close to jumping it a couple of times in the game. But like at that point in time, I get pick six, interceptions are not good. You're down 29, 28 to 7, whatever it was. And because that was the last score of the game, and it's third down, and he's just getting rid of the football, trying to make a play. You know, at that point in time, whatever. Like if that pick six happens when it was 14-7, sure. But at the end of the game, I'm not putting hardly any stock into that pick six. It just made a horrible loss look even worse. I think Boogie's frozen again. I'm gonna run this live chat until Boogie comes back. Super chat comes back in. I wasn't calling you out. I said I worried about this game, and you said as it gets closer, you weren't because Hop always beats them. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we all were, really. Again, I'll be the first to say in the summer I had this as a win for Tennessee. Boogie had this as a win for Tennessee. But as you started doing the research and looking into Mizzou and all that type of stuff, man, Mizzou was a pretty good ball club. Boogie, you back?
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm glad
I took over.
Talk. Yeah,
I was host of Talkin VAWLS there.
Did it completely kick me off, or was I just frozen?
You were just frozen like an idiot. He's frozen like an idiot again. Goodness gracious, Boogie. What are we going to do, man? I better get paid overtime for this. All right. Until Boogie comes back. I don't have controls of flashing up on the screen. I know we got some producers backstage. Let's see here. I'll look at some comments. That little running back from Missouri was nice out there. That's from Nick. Dude, Cody Schrader, I know Boogie brought this up last Monday, man. D2, former D2 running back. Love that story. He's a volume guy. I mean, he touched the football like 45 times. Very different from how Tennessee runs that. But Boogie, Schrader was incredible. I don't know if you read my stat. I looked it up. Tennessee gave up a combined 41 receptions to running backs this year for like 248 yards going into this game. Cody Schrader had 5 receptions for 116 yards, leading Missouri in receiving in that football game. Tennessee just had no answer for Schrader, both on the ground, and they just didn't account for him out of the backfield. I mean, he was wide open. Tennessee just did not account for him, and quite frankly, Brady Cook could have hit him a couple more times, and that stat line could have looked worse. Boogie's frozen again, guys. Boogie is frozen again. And literally, he's going to have to pay me overtime. He was back. I tossed it to him, and he just froze. He just texted me, guys. He just texted me and said, I'm rebooting. All right, so this is truly Locked On VAWLS, an extension here. Hey, let me just take this time since Boogie's gone. If you're not subscribed to Locked On VAWLS, go help me out right now. Let's get to 10K, all right? And if you like Tennessee content, if you don't know what my podcast is, every single morning, 30 minutes or less, I'm going to give you your Tennessee content every single weekday morning. Football season, a lot to talk about. Basketball season starting. But even if it's April the 14th in spring, I'm going to have you 30 minutes of Tennessee Volunteer stuff. as a morning podcast. All right, let's go through the comments as Boogie continues to reboot. Talkin Vols morning show hosted by Eric Cain. You dang right. You dang right. Frozen line. I got the full screen now. Boogie's not even in here. There are no rules, everybody. There's no rules. Internet giving that 63 effort. That's from Kevin. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Talking about Cody Schrader. That is true. That's from Rhonda Dawn. Let's see here. Like a deer in headlights. That's from Davey. I don't know if he's talking about Boogie Frozen, but he did look like a deer in headlights. Let's see here. This is from Craig. Cain, as bad as the linebacker play was, what was an adjustment could Banks have made? Well, linebackers were just horrible in the pursuit, like you're pointing out, like we've talked about. I don't like Banks couldn't just wave a wand and fix that. Is what Banks could have done. He was married to that scheme. He didn't make adjustments. Even in Florida's game, you made adjustments in the second half. You never made adjustments, in this football game. You never had a spy, it appeared, on Brady Cook. The underneath stuff was just open all day long, and Cook flourished in that. I don't quite get not making those adjustments. So mixing up the coverage, running a cover one pirate with a spy down low. Continuing to bring pressure. We've still not seen Aaron Beasley blitz an awful lot, and I think Aaron Beasley is one of the best blitzers on this team. Those are some things I would like to see. Boogie's back. Welcome back to the show. How was your nap?
My internet's already bugging out again. It's not the computer, it's the internet. We'll see. We're almost an hour in. We'll see if we can make it through. I'm making Kaner work the entire show. Adam, did you read the Super Chats? I didn't know if you read the Super Chats or not.
No, I don't have access to – I do have access. Never mind. I can't put them up there. I did not read the Super Chats.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Adam Cook for 2 says nothing to play for. Is Georgia not coming? Aaron for 5 says no good Georgia fans. Ouch. Boogie, been subbed to you for a year, man. You're straight up and honest. Good luck this week. Get a coffee on me. I appreciate that, Aaron. Man, there's some good Georgia fans actually in this community. Like, there's a couple that come hang out every Tuesday night when we're playing NCAA. They hang out. They talk with us. Always a good time. It's a bit. That's not really a bit. I don't like any Georgia fans, but I do appreciate the coffee. Thank you, Aaron, for the support, brother. And Crystal says, for 5, Kaner, where did you get the bobblehead of you and your wife? That's so cool.
This is my wedding day present from her. I can ask her. She got it online somewhere. Obviously, I like bobbleheads. She had to put the dog in there, too. I don't know where she got this, but I can figure it out, and I can drop it in here in the next chat or something. But this is my wedding day present, and I love it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Normally on Mondays, what we do is we roll through 30 minutes with Kaner, and then I jump in and I listen to the Heupel press conference. I don't know if that's going to work. What do you guys think? Because if I die after Kaner leaves, it's just a blank screen. Like, what's the point in that? So we'll do a couple of more minutes here, and then we'll wrap things up. If you got any questions, put them in the chat. My notes are gone. All of my notes are gone. All of my in-game notes from the Missouri game, gone. Notes for Georgia game, gone. I've lost all of my work that I've done for the last 48 hours because I never save anything. So I don't even have anything in front of me to wrap up this show with. Let's see. We're caught up on Super Chats. What a nightmare. What a nightmare.
It's a carryover, man. Tennessee was so bad in Columbia, Missouri. The show is, even though technically it's so bad from a production standpoint because of technology, it's still been fun, man. I mean, you got a bunch of people hanging out here just making fun of you whenever you leave. I mean, it's still a good product. Right?
I got no problem being the butt of the joke around here. It happens. Usually people just super chat to insult me, and I'm okay. I'm here for that. I got no problem with it. Somebody earlier said, Boogie, you need a director. Why do I need a director? So they can say, hey, Boogie, your internet's not working. Maybe they could be calling Spectrum while my internet continues to crash over and over and over. It's been happening all week. Justin Denton for 5 doesn't say anything, just a tip in the tip jar.
Just go get some internet.
That. Yeah, let's keep the Super Chats coming in so I can buy better internet. That's what we need to happen. Man, oh, man. What an embarrassing start to the week. We got our usual content coming up this week, though. Hopefully we can play some NCAA football tomorrow night. We'll be live Wednesday night. We'll start to dive a little bit more into that Georgia game. But as we approach Georgia week, I know you start some of your work earlier in the week. What do you think about this Georgia football team? Obviously, talent all over the field. Look at those notes. See, all mine just got deleted. Imagine I just set fire to those and they're gone forever.
Listen, old school journalism right here. Notepad, pen, and then you put it over digitally. Georgia, I was having some beers with a couple of my friends last night after the Rocky Top Rewind. I went and met up with them. And they were asking about Georgia, and I was like, I think the biggest compliment like I could give to Georgia would be like there's nothing flashy, and there's outside of Brock Bowers, there's nothing like, oh my God, Georgia's so good. There's nothing about that team that you're just like drooling over from a football perspective outside of Brock Bowers. And that's just, and I still think Georgia is the best team in the country. And I think that's a byproduct of recruiting and recruiting and recruiting and good coaching and good coaching. And like Carson Beck getting better as the years gone on. It's just a solid football team, man. They're number 2 in pretty much every offensive category, minus rushing. They're 5th behind LSU, and LSU's having a Heisman-type season with Jaden Daniels. Defensively, I mean, they're 1st in everything except rush defense, and they're number 2 behind Texas A&M. I mean, they're a solid football team. Defensively, on paper, nowhere near as talented as what they've been the last couple of years. Offensively, they've got options. Ladd McConkey's heating up too, boys. He got Tennessee a little bit last year. He's heating up. Carson Beck's playing good. We know about that run game. It's just, overall, it's a good football team filled with nothing but 4 and 5 stars. And it's gotten better and better as the year's gone on. So it is going to be a tremendous challenge. But again, I'll stand by what I said earlier. I mean, if Tennessee gets back to playing the way we've seen it play this year in certain spots, I mean, Tennessee can give Georgia a run for its money easily. I'm not saying Tennessee will win this game, but Tennessee can give a run for its money for sure. But you can't do what you did last week, that's for sure.
Were you surprised when the line came out at 10? That kind of surprised me. I was thinking 2 touchdowns at least. 2 touchdowns at least.
Yeah, maybe it was a little lower than what I thought, especially having, seen what happened at Missouri. But, a lot of that goes into Tennessee plays so well at home. Tennessee's won 14 straight at home. Tennessee's going to have a home field advantage with that atmosphere, with that crowd. And again, what Tennessee did Saturday, that's not who Tennessee is. It was a horrible performance. The loss still counts. That's not Tennessee. Sure, is Tennessee great? Is Tennessee what it was last year? No, it's not. But that wasn't Tennessee, and I think odd makers take that into account as well. So I thought it'd be about 11, 12. It's at 10 last time I checked. But I do think a lot of that has to do with playing at home.
Donovan for 5 says, Eric, did you look up the stat about if Tennessee gets down 11 points in the Heupel era, we have never won? Road games are being down. Bigger worry.
No, Donovan, like I said, I went and drank a couple beers last night, so obviously I was slacking. But I believe you. I mean, that is an incredible stat. And you would think that this offense can kind of chip away and chip away and chip away and be – because we thought, like, when we're previewing games, I've said it a couple times this year. I said about Kentucky, said about Florida. One of those went well. Those offenses aren't built to come back. Like, Tennessee's offense is built to come back. But when you're not winning first downs like you were on Saturday, I mean, you can't do anything. You can't sustain a drive. Road losses are a real thing right now. I think Tennessee's lost 4 of its last 5 true road games dating back to November. That one win was 5 of 6, because you beat Kentucky, and then, of course, you beat Vanderbilt last year. That's a thing, man, and I don't have an answer for it. Execution, getting out of your rhythm. The environments have not hindered Tennessee. Like at Florida, the environment hindered Tennessee. Georgia last year, the environment hindered Tennessee. At Alabama this year, at Kentucky this year, at Missouri this year, the environment was not a factor. Tennessee just couldn't execute. But that's a heck of a stat. I'll go back and look it up for sure, but I'll take your word for it, man. That is an incredible stat.
I'm running a speed test, just watching my internet speed throttle down. Like, the worst part about it is I'm hardwired. I'm hardwired directly into the modem. So it's like, what else do you want me to do? Got a freaking computer over here that costs more than a car. But anyway, we're going to wrap the show because we're an hour into this thing. I'm getting on the phone and calling Spectrum, seeing if we get this fixed, dialed in. Cain, I appreciate you working overtime with me, buddy, surviving this thing together.
Hey, I'm just going to add it to the resume, man. I'm the host of Talkin VAWLS, so yeah.
Y'all take shots at me. How's it feel to host a show with 24,000 subscribers?
Wow! Wow! You guys hearing that right now? I do his job all morning long. You gonna take a shot at me like that? Good grief!
Oh, what a horrible, horrible human being I am. We're going out the door on that one, Cain. I really do appreciate it, buddy. You working overtime and hanging out with me as I drowned here. We're out the door. I'm gonna try to make a video later today. We'll see if we can get that to happen. Vol fan in the Air Force drops $20 and says, just to start FUGA week, and wanted to hear the clip. Well, look, Wayne Starnes wanted the clip for the last time last night. We retired it. We are retiring the Pat McAfee clip. The only clip we're playing is the $1 Million Man for 50 spots. But because you dropped a 20, because you wanted to hear it, we'll bring it back, and then we'll retire it, and we'll send you guys out the door. I'm Boogie Bentley. He's Eric Cain. Go check him out on Locked On Vols and VolQuest. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none.